What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Ethereum Classic. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what the hell is moving it and what the market is kind of signaling as the bottom. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So ETC is down 4.6% over the last 24 hours, 8.5 million in volume. So that volume does signal that big money is not really getting into ETC. And it's not just them, it is pretty much across the board because of this. So the fear and greed index is under the extreme fear category, so it is 17, the lowest it's been over the last 2 years. So you could have that mentality of, hey, buy when there's a lot of blood, or a lot of bigger institutions are starting to forecast where the bottom might be. So I'll go over that in a second. But like I said, it's not just ETC, it's like everything that's going down. So Bitcoin's down 4.1% over the last 24 hours, like everything. One positive note I do want to bring up is the fact that ETC, in comparison to a lot of its peers, it's doing rather okay. So it's moved up, ranked number 33 among the coins. So it was flirting with like 35, 36 last couple of videos I've done. So that's maybe a positive if you want to think about that. But you are seeing a lot of longs closing out. So ETC has been very heavily shorted for a very long time. In fact, over the last 24 hours, 63.2% of the volume is attributed to shorts. So it's just a kind of a messy scenario. And right now, longs do not believe that there's going to be any upside. This is why they are liquidating. So it's kind of like a tricky scenario. You really do need a lot of good macro data over the next couple of trading days to come in better than anticipated. So we have JOLT numbers on Tuesday, CPI on Wednesday, and then PPI Thursday. So should be a fairly interesting time, but a lot of big money is starting to forecast where ETC and just crypto is going. So ultimately, if we kind of look at this right here, it's kind of funny that on a daily basis, or not daily, but like whenever I do my ETC videos, I bring up volume because that is a very big indicator and for crypto, and as well as equity and stuff like that, shows what big money is truly doing. So the writing's been on the wall for a while that there was it was kind of on a slippery slope. All it needed was a negative catalyst and then it was going to go down. Flip side, could have obviously went the other way, but I think obviously the data and everything that's been happening, especially with tariffs and whatever, I think there was more downside, but big money is starting to kind of forecast what is coming next. So even from these levels, there is still essentially another about 30 to 40% pullback anticipated, and that would put it back into kind of mid to late 2024 stages. If you feel that a massive recession could potentially come, then that would escalate that back to like the 2023 support level. So yeah, you could see definitely a lot more downside, at least in the short term, but it's not just ETC. Like I said, it's all going to come down to what the US government does, if they actually are going to put their money where their mouth is, because the recent summit wasn't all that inspiring coming from a investor standpoint. So it's just people wanted more and they didn't really have anything to give. But as far as this, with it right now at $17.94, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. $17.58 is that strong support. Then $19.01 is going to be that next strong target / resistance. So in my opinion, it did bounce off of this S1, so that's a good support level, at least in the short term. So you might see a little bit more of a push higher again in the short term, but no matter what, it is all going to come down to these data points I mentioned. This week is huge for the broader market. So if you're going to see any sort of recovery, it is going to be because of these data points, or it could really escalate the downtrend. So just kind of watch for these, like I mentioned, so that 1758 followed by 1670, 1528 is going to be the next strong kind of support levels that you need to watch for. But on the actual chart itself, if we kind of pull this up, so as far as this, I have the 1-day chart, 50, 100-day moving averages, ALMA, super trend, and stochastic RSI. So this is where you're seeing the breakdown. So it was showing some optimism the couple days prior, so up to March the 8th, but I think the market started to really digest the crypto summit that occurred on the 7th and was just not satisfied. So that's what really caused that downtrend. The 4-hour, this is where you're seeing a little bit of a breakout over the last, looks like the 8 a.m. mark. It was showing that it wanted to recover slightly, but unfortunately not really enough to cause any significant push higher. One positive thing though, it is on all spectrums very oversold, so a good piece of news, whether it be macro or something else, you could see a push higher. So let me know your thoughts on ETC. As far as right now, I do feel that it is a good swing trade opportunity, but there is going to be most likely a little bit more downside. That's just my viewpoint. Of course, I could be wrong. Let me know your general thoughts on ETC. Are you buying crypto or any cryptos out there? And if so, which ones? I think based on what we have seen for developments coming from Trump, it is all going to come down to utility. That is going to be the big driving factor for buying, coming from big money and as well the US government. So I think Bitcoin, Ripple, and some other ones, they're going to be the key ones. ETC, regrettably, I think they've just been not really anything crazy, so their utility is rather on the low end. So of course I think that they might underperform the broader crypto market. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Give yourself a shout out if you've been buying, if you've been selling, and whatever else. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.